Billionaire businessman Elon Musk, co-head of the Department of Government Efficiency, a proposed presidential advisory commission, wants to cut $2 trillion a year in federal spending. In the most recent fiscal year, the U.S. government spent $6.75 trillion. Two-thirds of federal spending is mandatory, which means it's dictated by law and includes programs such as Social Security and Medicare. Discretionary spending, which is determined by the President and Congress each year, is mostly spent on defense. This is not the first time an American president has pledged to cut government spending.
Presidents have been talking in one way or another about downsizing or reducing the role of government since the founding of the Republic.
It started with Thomas Jefferson, America's third president, who served from 1801 to 1809. Jefferson was committed to the idea of small government. He pushed to slash the number of federal workers, eliminating military and government jobs. The result? Government costs were temporarily reduced. In the 1930s and 40s, Franklin D. Roosevelt expanded the federal workforce to cope with the Great Depression. His New Deal temporarily employed millions. The purpose of the program was to provide relief for the poor while stimulating the economy and financial reform. The jobs expired once the programs achieved their objectives and the crisis was passed. In the 1980s, Ronald Reagan famously said the government was the problem. He formed the Grace Commission and asked the group of about 150 business leaders to help him find ways to eliminate waste and inefficiency.
President Reagan asked the Grace Commission to look at the government with an eye towards making it work more like a business.
Schatt says the Grace Commission's efforts to eliminate wasteful spending saved billions of dollars. But the website of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library says most of the recommendations, especially those requiring legislation from Congress, were never implemented. Still, some historians say Reagan's lasting influence was in shifting the national conversation in favor of a smaller role for the federal government in solving public problems.
It was a fundamental sea change from the previous century, really, of expansion of the role of government in society.
In the 1990s, Bill Clinton worked on a plan to make government work better and cost less. The result was cutting 300,000 federal jobs, mostly through retirements and outsourcing of services.
Certainly one of the more significant administrations in terms of reducing the role of government of the modern era.
During his first term, Donald Trump ordered a federal hiring freeze and proposed deep cuts to some federal agencies. Now, he hopes his Department of Government Efficiency, headed by Musk and politician-businessman Vivek Ramaswamy, will help him finish the job. Some question the wisdom of taking a business approach to running the government.
When you run a business, you are responsible to your stockholders. Your goal is to make money. When you're the government, you are responsible to the people. And your goal is not to make money. Your goal is to provide services and defend the nation.
Grossman says forensic accountants might be best equipped to find government fraud and waste.
There's a lot of fraud and waste in the private sector. So I'm not that sure that business people are necessarily the best people to even find out, to even discover fraud and waste.
While previous attempts to downsize government enjoyed limited success, the digital era might make it easier for Trump and his allies to get their point across.
There can be a faster and more comprehensive response because of social media. Members of Congress tend to respond more to social media than the old-fashioned letters they used to get.